Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invest. It is a Sunday, and you know what that means. It's time for a technical update. So in this particular video, I'll go through indices, commodities, cryptocurrency, bonds, currency, and a few individual companies' charts just to see what's happening. So let's get stuck into it because I want to keep this video to about 30 minutes long. I'm being a little bit selfish today. I want a little bit more free time for myself. So instead of rambling on, let's go straight to the XJO. Pretty good day for the XJO. Not as good as a week as the XSO. We'll get to that in a second. But the XJO was up about 0.8%. And we're still, or the XJO is still right on the top of the trading range. That trading range has been in play for 15 years. Eventually, it will be broken, and maybe soonish is that time. So good week for the XGO. And if we have a look at the daily chart, by the way, that was a weekly chart. If we have a look at the daily chart, for a brief period a few weeks ago, it did go above the top of the range, but since then, it's just been hanging just below. And seems like the top of the trading range is sort of like a lid, and the XGO wants to get above at the top of the trading range, but that lid is suppressing it. And that's what it seems like at this point in time, but I'm just being overly dramatic because, of course, there's no lid, but in a way, you could consider resistance levels as being lids that can be overcome if there's enough buying pressure, lifting the lid up and disperse, I suppose, not lifting it, but dispersing the lid in many different directions. Okay, so that's the XJO, top of the trading range, which also means that there's a greater possibility we might see a fair bit of weakness in the XJO over the next few months. Just a possibility, doesn't mean it will happen, because in the past, when we have seen the XJO get to the top of the trading range, we have seen that weakness. The last time was back in August 2021, and then we saw the XJO fall over the next 18 months or so. And then previous to that, it was just before COVID-19. So maybe there's some black swan event just around the corner. Okay, let's turn our attention to the XSO. So I've already mentioned that the XJO did not have as good as a week as the XSO. In fact, I like the XSO right now, particularly with the week it had. In fact, it was up 2.46%. The highest the XSO has been since 2022. And when I say 2022, I'm talking about near the start of 2022. So we're talking about almost a 2.5-year high for the small caps. So small cap investors are loving life right now, unless they've sold all their companies and bought into the bigger companies. But that's another story. I suppose if they did that, they wouldn't be small cap investors anymore. But anyway, a pretty good week for the XSO. And if we turn attention to the daily chart, by the way, that was a weekly chart, this actually does look pretty good. I do like this chart at this point in time. So maybe there has been a bit of a rotation into small caps over the past few weeks. And I actually do prefer this chart at this point in time. That hasn't always been the case recently. In fact, it's almost never been the case in the past few years. Okay, so that's the Australian indices, and no reason to be bearish or completely bearish. The only reason to be a little bit bearish might be just because the XJO is near the top of the trading range, and that's it. Otherwise, they're both moving up. Both indices are in an uptrend. The XSO has broken out, looks like above 3,100, and that is a bullish move. Now let's turn our attention to the American indices. Had a pretty good day on Friday. NDQ, the Nasdaq up 0.15, but Dow Jones up 1%, almost 1%. But the Russell 2000 up 2%. So possibly another good day for small caps on the ASX on Monday. That remains to be seen. But I'm just sort of what's the word? I'm sort of thinking it might transfer or translate. The good day for small caps in America might translate to the Australian market. And that's not always the case. Okay, so let's turn our attention and we'll again go back to the weekly chart. Let's have a look at the NASDAQ. And the NASDAQ is near the high, the all-time high. It's still looking okay. I've always not always, but I've favored the Dow Jones over the past few months at least. But the NASDAQ does look pretty good, the weekly chart. And if we have a look at the daily chart, Yeah, it is sort of grinding higher. Does seem like there might be a little bit of resistance at this level or around this level, 20,270 or so, and the all-time high is around about 20,750. So it's not far off that all-time high. And I think there is a chance it will get past that all-time high within the next month, maybe even earlier. Well, I was going to say maybe even earlier, but I did say within the next month, which means that covers at any time within the month. So that comment I was going to say maybe even earlier was kind of redundant, and I didn't even have to say that because I didn't even say it. Anyway, so the Nasdaq was pretty good. I have favored the Dow Jones recently. Do I prefer this one? Yes. The Dow Jones is a little bit better because it is at all-time highs. In fact, it went to a new all-time high on the Friday session. It went to all-time high, looks like, well, very close to all-time high on the Wednesday session. And I just like this chart. I do like this chart a little bit better. There's a bit of overlap between the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the Nasdaq, but this is a pretty nice looking chart. That's the daily chart. If we have a look at the weekly chart, yeah, how can you complain about this chart? How can you complain about this chart at all? Now onto the Russell 2000, and I have tended to like Russell 2000 a little bit better than the XSO. Is that still remaining true? And I would assume yes, because the Russell 2000 had a really good day on Friday. And that's the weekly chart. A pretty good week. Well, actually not that good of a week. It was only at 1%. So the other 4 trading days, not so good for the Russell 2000. In fact, the Dow Jones was up 1.2%, and the Nasdaq was up 1.2%. So for the whole week, the Russell 2000 had the weakest week. The weakest week. The weakest week. Yeah, exactly right. Anyway, so the weekly chart, no, I'm not there. And you see I do have this purple box, and that is a resistance area for the Russell 2000. And it just actually got back into that box on the Friday session. So maybe a little bit of resistance right now for the Russell 2000. I do expect this particular index to get past that box, and that would be a positive sign. But it does have to do some work to get past that top of that box, which would be about 2,280. So a little bit off there right now, but I actually do prefer the XSO now. So I've just thought about it, very quick thought, and I actually do prefer the Australian small caps over the American small caps, just based off their respective charts. Okay, now so let's move to international indices. Start off with the Nikkei. And the Nikkei, it looks like it's trying to move into a new uptrend after a fair bit of volatility. So this is starting to look a little bit better, but nowhere near as good as the Hang Seng. Up 3% on Friday. A lot of volatility the last few days. Of course, the reason it fell a lot on that Wednesday session was because of the lack of more stimulus from the Chinese government. And that's pretty horrible that the government won't give everyone stimulus and the market, has a hissy fit. That's the way I look at this. The market has a hissy fit because they weren't getting more money from the government. And we just had a little bit of a bounce. In fact, the weekly for the Hang Seng's probably down a fair bit. Yeah, down 6.5% after 3 really good weeks in a row. So maybe this is a buy the dip situation for the Hang Seng and companies associated with it like Alibaba. In fact, let's have a look at Alibaba. Its ticker code is BABA. And I would assume this is almost mirroring, not quite, almost mirroring the Hang Seng. Now let's have a look at the DAX. And I'm assuming the DAX and no, not the FTSE. Definitely the DAX is looking pretty good. Not quite at all-time highs, not quite where we're seeing, not quite similar to the Dow Jones, which is at all-time highs, but still a nice looking chart for the DAX, even though the economy in Germany is suffering, isn't it? Is it too? I did read something the other day about don't think it was 2 quarters of negative growth. It was something worse than that. So it just shows you that the economy and the stock market sometimes aren't that related. The economy in Germany is not doing good, yet their stock market is looking pretty good, is in a beautiful uptrend. Now, this could be just the market being irrational. There's definitely that possibility, but the chart looks pretty good. And the FTSE has been going sideways forever, and it's still going sideways. And when I say forever, I mean 6 months, which is obviously not forever, unless you're a young'un. If you're a 3-year-old, 6 months is almost a lifetime. Well, if you're a 3-year-old, 6 months is like 15% of your life. When you're getting to my age, you're 21 years old, 6 months is like 2% of your age. Anyway, that's the indices. Now let's have a look at commodities. And of course, we always start with gold. I'm just having a look at gold on the last trading day, up 1%. Silver up 1.65%. Iron ore up 1.46%. And uranium, physical sprott, up 0.15%. So pretty good day for these 4 particular commodities. Let's have a look at gold. I don't think I'm going to see anything I don't like. Don't think I will see anything I don't like. In other words, I think I will like this chart. And I do like this chart. A little bit of a dip during the first part of the week, and the last 2 days we have seen gold go on a nice little 2-day rally. And not quite at all-time highs, but it's okay. The chart overall, if you look at this 2-year period, no, 1.5 years, no, not even that. It's like a 13, 14-month period. Gold looks really good. It wasn't that long ago. This time last year, gold was at 1,880, and it's increased not quite 50%, but it's getting close to be increasing 50% in 1 year. That's a nice increase in the price of anything. So gold looks pretty good. Silver had a nice run on the Friday session, but again, it's just shy of a resistance level. That's at $32.50, and it was there recently. In fact, it was there at the start of the week, and then it pulled back, had a pretty nasty day. Is that a Tuesday? Yeah. Pretty nasty day on Tuesday, down 4.4%, and now it's trying to get back up to that resistance level, and that would be the key level for me, about $32.50. If it breaks above that, that would be a good move for silver. Iron ore still looks, I don't mind this. There was one big negative day. Is that the Monday? No, that's a Tuesday as well. Down 5.2%. So that probably has to do also with the lack of added stimulus by the Chinese government. And since then, the price of oil has steadied and is slowly creeping up. Not in an uptrend as per se just yet, but signs it's starting to look promising for iron ore. Won't quite say it's moving into an uptrend just yet. I need a little bit more proof. Now, the uranium, on the other hand, I think this does look a little bit more promising. Now, there was a little bit of a pullback, but if we do see uranium start to go up again, that will be a good sign that uranium might be moving into a new uptrend. So it has the signs of moving or trying to move into an uptrend. But again, just like some other things like iron ore, I need a little bit more proof that it is actually in that uptrend. Okay, let's have a look at oil. So oil's had a few days, a few rough days, a few good days during the week. And you can just see that volatility during the past about 7 or 8 trading days. Some really good days, a really bad day. So that was on Tuesday again. Oil actually fell about 4.4%. And then oil was up on a Thursday by 3%. Again, this is not a new uptrend developing just yet. Again, this could be just a bit of a, I wouldn't say dead cat bounce, but there's no uptrend yet for oil. Still, if anything, in the downtrend. So I need to see the price of oil go a little bit higher. I'd like to see it get above $80. That would be a good move forward. But I just don't know which way it's going to move from here. It could go above $80. It could go lower. That's why I am out. Not out completely of oil, but that's why I'm not going fully in oil. Okay, natural gas. What's happening with natural gas? Yeah, was looking good. Then we have the pullback. It sort of reminds me of what we saw back in June. And natural gas actually does go on some runs on occasion, and those runs always seem to fail. And is this another case of a run failing with natural gas? Lithium, no, I don't have any excitement in lithium just yet, but there is some corporate action in lithium. So with Rio Tinto, it looks like they're acquiring Arcadium, and that could be a sign that the major mining players think there's value in lithium. So there is a possibility we might see more of this corporate action in lithium companies moving forward, and that would be beneficial to the share price of lithium companies, because if many people think a lithium company might be bought out, there is a chance the share price will rise before any sort of announcement, even if it never comes. Okay, so lithium, nothing exciting when we look at the chart. In fact, you can't even see it here, but it's still falling. It's still in a downtrend, but there's a little bit of hope there for lithium people. Copper probably should belong more in the gold, silver, I think. Copper, a good day on Friday, up a little bit. So that's probably repairs it from a negative week. So overall, copper was down 1.8% for the week. Now, one of the reasons why I think it did pull back is because copper got to a resistance level at about $4.70, and now we have seen it turn. In fact, copper turned right near a support level, just above a support level. So interesting to see how copper goes from here. I'd be more bullish if it gets above about $4.75, and I'd be bearish if it fell below probably about $4.10. Coal had a really good week, or really good day the other day, but still no obvious trend just yet. But the downtrend definitely has come to an end, but no trend just yet. So when I say has come to an end, doesn't mean there won't be a new uptrend developing in the future, but the downtrend we saw in coal last year, maybe even the year before, that has come to an end. And I just don't know which way it's going to move from here. It could go up, could move into an uptrend, and it could move into a new downtrend. Now, the other few commodities I want to look at, I'll go through these fairly quickly. Tin, no, not keen. Tin, nickel. We have to look at the line for this. A little bit of pullback during the week, but that's okay. And palladium, still waiting for this to. Oh, palladium. I actually don't mind this one. I like this one. So there was a possibility of a breakout back in mid-September. The price of palladium actually then pulled back to the moving average channels, both of them. So that was a support level, and now your palladium is starting to move higher. So there is a sign that there is a possible shift in trend for palladium. I would actually confirm this trend if it gets above the previous high. So we're talking about 1,120. So it's starting to look a little bit better. Won't look at cocoa. No, let's have a look at cocoa. Yeah, nothing much to see there. It's no real trend, not like we saw like early in the year, but nothing's happening with cocoa. Okay, now let's have a look at some crypto. We'll start with Bitcoin. And I've been mentioning that Bitcoin, particularly Bitcoin, their charts are looking average. Nothing much is happening here. Bitcoin's going sideways, just consolidating. No trend. It's fairly rare to see Bitcoin in no trend. In fact, if we have a look at the longer term chart, it's very rare. This is like one of the first times. Yep. I'm going back to 2020, and I'm just seeing it trending up, trending down some other times. And this is you could argue for a brief period in middle of 2023 that Bitcoin really wasn't doing anything at that period, and then it moved into an uptrend. So that's what I'll be waiting for right now. Probably like to see the volatility just not widen up, but contract a little bit. But there's just no trend in Bitcoin right now. If anything, Ethereum, there's a bit of a downtrend, or there has been a bit of a downtrend here. I would probably acknowledge that, but the downtrend is pretty weak, and we have seen a little bit of buying pressure when the price of Ethereum gets to about 2,200. We've seen that twice now in the past few months. So if anything, a bit of a downtrend here, but a possible bottom has been reached, and that bottom is around about 2,200. Now let's turn our attention to bonds. 30-year keeps on going up. Keeps on going up. It's going in the wrong direction. If we want, the bond market is obviously thinking we're not going to get any further interest rate cuts. They might be thinking we're going to see interest rates rise, if anything. So this is a really interesting turn of events when it comes to bonds. It has rallied hard from 3.9% up to 4.4% in the past month. So something is going on here when it comes to bonds, and I still think it has to do with inflation. inflation might be higher than expected over the next year, and the unemployment market or the employment labor market is actually looking really healthy in the United States right now. So that could be what's one of the reasons why the bond market is rallying right now. I won't have a look at TLT because that should be the complete opposite. It was looking good, now it's not looking so good. Actually, in fact, let's have a look at TLT. Yeah, it was looking good. Looks like it's moving into an uptrend now. It's pulled back. So not looking quite as good. And finally, currency. Wanting it to break out above 69 cents, but it has pulled back to 67.48. Okay. I do have quite a few individual companies' charts. I'm not going to go through all these. Or I might go through, no, I'm not sure. Let's start with TPG. I've shown this one a few times now. It is on my possible buy list. I'll put that out there. And just because the downtrend has come to an end, I'm going to confirm it right now. Share price is look like it's moving into an uptrend. So downtrends come to an end, and now looks like share price is moving to an uptrend. So in fact, I do like this chart. Maybe not the company, but I do like the chart. And I am trying to distinguish between the two. Charts can look really good, company not so. And maybe I should leave my bias against the company aside and just trade the chart. Baby Bunting, also like this one. It looks like it's trying to move into an uptrend. I'm not sure I'd call it just yet, but it's trying. It's probably the best the chart has looked since early 2021. So we're talking about more than 3 years ago. Finally, the chart is looking a little bit better. I do like this chart. In fact, I like it so much, I'm going to write it down. So what I do is on a piece of paper, I write some companies I just want to follow, and then I also write the companies that have announcement, and it's just a notebook. So I can actually go back through time just to see what companies I was looking at on a particular day. For instance, on June 14, my birthday, the stock of the day was Titomic. Second stock of the day was Telix. Coming number 3 was Deterra. 4, Vitalife Sciences, and 5, for some reason, Adobe. And on my watch list then, we have Mitchell Services, Paragon Health, Clio Diagnostics, Wagner, Auric Mining. Anyway. So I do like this chart for Baby Bunting. I also like Kogan. Not probably as much as Baby Bunting, but I think this is trying to move into an uptrend as well. So quite a few of these companies are moving into uptrends. Now, there was a comment in regards to DGL. So see if I can find this comment. Celtics. Did I pick Celtics? Did I? Oh, there you go. There was a comment about, here we go, from Ben Hutchinson, of course. Haven't watched today's yet, so apologies if you discussed, but did you notice the 8% move in DGL? Yes, I did notice it because I do own it. So whenever a company moves like this, I do notice it. Maybe not when I record the video, but definitely after. So I go through the charts after I record the video. So I really notice it once I record the video because there was no news. If there was news released, I would have definitely noticed it for the video. Now, when there is a move like 8% on no news, I sometimes will discard it. It could be just noise, or it could be loose lips. We just don't know just yet. 5th consecutive day up day seems to have bounced off some sort of support, but more work and likely time needed to break its massive downtrend. I think that's absolutely true. There needs to be a lot of work needed for this company. And you're right, 5 days in a row, share price has bounced off 44 cents. I don't think that's only support because that's an all-time low. If you go have a look at the weekly chart, yeah, share price has not been lower than at 44 cents. So you could maybe argue that 44 cents is now a support level for this company because it looks like it bounced off it twice in fairly short time period, which makes it less powerful, I think. But the downtrend is still in play. There's no evidence that the downtrend is coming to an end just yet. I do like how the one-day candlestick looks, a really nice solid green candlestick. The one thing I'd like to see is a higher volume. So we haven't seen high volume coming in the last few days when the share price has rebounded. So we haven't seen the buyers really come in on force. So yeah, that's it. But anyway, I did notice it. Probably the only thing you might say is the share price did get above the high they saw on the 25th of September. So I'm just, trying to find something positive. Well, I suppose the share price rising a fair bit in a week. In fact, it rose in a week. It rose, 19% in a week. So that's nothing to scoff at. But I'd like, it's still in a downtrend. Yeah, I can't get excited just yet. But it was a good week for DGL. 29 metals. Am I there yet with this company? I don't know if I'm there just yet, but it's getting close. And the share price is in a resistance zone. Just pull that. In fact, you could just do this. Yeah, it's like a zone between about 55 cents and 60 cents. And the share price is at 50 cents right now. So it does have a fair bit of work, just like DGL, to get higher. But if it does break above 60 cents, that would be a good move for 29 metals. Media. This is at support, a nice little support level at $1.22. The lows this company has seen going back to October 2023, so 1 year ago, and just below $1.22 at $1.12. There's another support level as well. So this company is falling to some support levels, and the share price has fallen a fair bit as well. So is there any value in this company? I actually don't know that. It's not a company I follow that closely. Not my favorite type of company. Unlike the next one, Technology One. I have held this in the past, and then I sold it, took profits, then I bought back in, took profits, bought back in, took profits, bought back in, and then I just decided, why am I doing that? Just buy and just hold. So I bought sometime maybe over a year ago, can't remember. Share price had a nice little resistance level at about $17, and it should be fairly obvious why that's resistance. You can see for a while the share price couldn't break above that price. And there was also a floor. The bottom of that trading range was around about $14.50. Anyway, I can't remember when I bought in, but there was an obvious breakout. This is a beautiful breakout. Study this chart, and you can see what can happen when a share price breaks out, even if the company is expensive. And I have no doubt, if anyone talked about this company back in May, the share price broke out, they would have said, oh, it's too expensive. And then look what happened after that. Share price is gone. You could have bought on that day when it broke out. What date was that? The 22nd of May. You could have bought on that day at, or even the next few days, at around about $17.50. Now the share price is $24.74. So you would have made a nice little profit. And this is a great looking chart. And if people thought it was expensive back then, it's even more expensive right now. I have been thinking about taking profits with this company and a few others, but why at this point in time? Chart still looks pretty strong, so just ride the winners as long as possible. Talking about winners, this is one that is looking like a winning possibility. This is one I wanted to own for a long time, and I always found it really expensive. So when I talk about this company, I started following this company probably 10 years ago, and I never took a position. Am I kicking myself? Not really. But then we saw the share price get to $22 back in November. And then the share price pulled back from $22 all the way down to $11. So the share price halved in about 2 years or so. And then I thought, oh, the share price is starting to go sideways. So I took a position. And what's happened over the last month or so? This is another potential breakout. Share price at $15.65 is at a long-term high. So here's one instance where there's definitely a shift in trend and a sentiment in the company. And that has transpired over the last, really since, it moved into consolidation period sometime late last year and went sideways for maybe 6 to 8 months. And then it really broke out towards the end of August into start of September. This is a nice looking chart for objective. Data 3, and there goes my 30 minutes, by the way. Data 3, this is an interesting one. Share price is at support, $7.40. Could I consider buying this? Maybe. This again would be a sort of a low risk play. You buy at $7.40, and then if the share price falls to say $7.20 and stays below $7.40, that would be take your loss, small loss, and move on to the next possible trade. Hansen Technologies, is this turning around? This one came onto my radar because of this big day, positive day on the 10th of October, the Thursday. Share price ran up 5.3%. The other thing I noticed is we have seen a bit of an increase in volume since about June. That could be a good sign that there are institutions seeing some value between about $4 and $4.50, and that's why we saw increased volume. And now maybe they've taken their position completely, and they're just trying to let this run. What they might have been doing during that period between June and September, they wanted to increase their position. So they would put a bit of a lid on the share price. That's why the share price didn't run. And when they pull that lid, the share price can go on the run. So there is a possibility that's what's happening. The institution or institutions have taken their position, and now it can ride free, it can run free. Run free. Okay, so that's Hansen Technologies. Does look pretty good at this point in time. Dropsuite has broken out, possibly broken out. So there was this, you could call it this ascending triangle, or maybe there's another, we'll call it ascending triangle. And what you wait for here is a break above the top of the triangle, and that price would be about $3.55. And lo and behold, on Thursday, it broke above it. It tested it on the Friday. We saw the share price fall below that level for a brief period of time and then rally back up to $3.60. So when the share price did break out, there was a really good high volume on that day and a nice green candlestick. Share price rallied 6%. So that's a positive sign. So I do like this chart. Not sure about the company. I do think there is definitely an argument that Dropsuite is overvalued. But again, I shouldn't be looking at the valuation. Maybe I should just be playing the chart. And if I was just playing the chart, this does look interesting. Unlike the next one, eRoad. So I did take a trading position in this company at 90 cents. And I was thinking, oh, it's going on a run. Share price got to $1.36. So thinking, oh, what a beautiful looking chart. And then it just went pear-shaped. We saw three big down days in a row after that record high. And then we saw another big down day a few days after that. And then we saw another big down day on the 27th of September. And that's when I decided to take my profits. And I sold at about $1 or $1.02 or something like that. So it's a nice 10% profit. And now the share price is below where I sold. And the share price actually did break below this support level. That's why I sold. I anticipated, and maybe this is the wrong thing to do, I did anticipate the share price will break below that $1 support level. And it did it on last Friday. Yeah, Friday the 4th of October. And the share price has kept on falling. So what looked like a really good developing uptrend looks a little bit bleaker now for eRoad. Two more companies to go. Credit Clear. Yes, this one came onto my radar back in February. There was a nice little breakout. And then the share price went sideways for about 6 months. And then they must have released something in July. So that would have been their Appendix 4C if they did release it. The share price did rally on that day 13%. And the share price went sideways. But we have seen a little bit of a rally in the share price in the last few weeks. Not only that, we have seen these spikes in volume. In fact, these spikes in volume are becoming more and more common for Credit Clear. Just look at a really bad volume or weak volume back in 2023 as the share price was dropping. There was no enthusiasm for this company at all. Now we're starting to see some buying, some enthusiasm, and the share price is moving up. Which one has caused the other? Don't know. Don't know, but that's what I'm seeing. Yeah, there's a possibility as there's some traders, maybe institutions, seeing share price moving up to an uptrend, and they're getting a little bit more excited. Or maybe the share price is moving up because good financials, and that's what institutions are seeing, and they're taking positions, helping the share price to move into an uptrend. So that's Credit Clear. I do like that chart, and I do like the volume. And finally, Clover Corporation. I remember this company released something on the 24th of September. It was positive, and then I completely forgot about it until I had a look at the chart the other, would have been, today actually. And I went, oh, this chart does look nice. I think the downtrend has come to an end, and the very fact the share price has rallied further from that positive announcement is a fairly good sign. Massive volume came on that day. Now, the volume has decreased a fair bit, but I do like the share price action for Clover Corporation. And if I remember correctly, the And whatever they released, it was positive. Yeah, it definitely was positive. Okay, so that's it for today's video. I wanted to do this video within 30 minutes. 35 minutes is not bad. Anyway, so if you have any questions, any thoughts, leave those in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who's qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.